Deserts also have massive cultural value. Their underbelly houses geological, paleontological, and archaeological remains that are exceptionally well conserved and have enormous patrimonial value. They're a kind of archive of humanity's memory that has allowed us to faithfully reconstruct the development of mankind's achievements. Even today, they conserve the secrets of our ancestors, and thanks to how isolated they are, the cultural strata vital for the knowledge of our own acts has been able to survive. Uncanny rock formations, caveman drawings, innumerable dinosaur fossils, Nazca lines, and Nubian pyramids, all of these form a true heritage in which the history of the Earth and of its first civilizations has been registered. Its aridity, its extreme dryness, which makes life very difficult for living beings, is, however, an excellent ally for the preservation of the heritage that extinct civilizations left us. An endless current of spirituality surrounds deserts. Within its confines, the three religions based on the book were born. The most radical manifestations of those monotheistic beliefs have been expressed in a territory that has become a privileged location for encounters with God or with our human interior. 2 centuries before the birth of Christ, Essenes moved to the desert to prepare for the coming of the Lord. Christian hermits retired to the desert to give themselves completely to a life of contemplation and penitence, as a part of their spiritual world and their Christian deliverance. The Sufi also retired there to attain the highest degree of spiritual realization as part of their initiation path towards Islam. We see then that the apparent nothingness of the desert contrasts starkly with the fertile spiritual creativity that it has generated throughout history. Buddhist monks found exceptional energy centers in Tibet and in the Gobi Desert for communion with divinity. From a spiritual point of view, these centers are apt places to reach equilibrium and purification, the elements that help to transform the surroundings as well as the mind. They are then ideal places for meditation, the principal activity in Buddhism. Mohammed came from tribes that worshiped the spirits of the desert called jinns, the most important of which was known as Allah. The young prophet had visions of the archangel Saint Gabriel in the desert environment of Mecca and received the commandments to submit himself to the will of Allah. Thus, Islam was born. The opportunity and binding capacity of his message made it possible, for the first time in history, for a desert people to conquer large parts of the world and spread their own civilization, a civilization of the desert. In the vastness of Asia, Buddhism was born from an impulse to purify. Its spirituality, associated with a lack of material possessions, is a precursor of the future distilled asceticisms of Western deserts. It isn't strange, then, that the epicenter of Buddhism's spiritual geography can today be found in the high desert that is Tibet. In Ethiopia, more than 60% of the population practiced the Coptic variant of Christianity. The ancient realm of Aksum was one of the first African regions to adopt this Christian faith that, even today, still conserves important Hermetic manifestations and a strong monk structure reminiscent of the intense spiritual and intellectual activity of the first years of the Christian faith. The desert, then, symbolizes ascetic abandonment and flight from the world for the sake of meditation and union with God. Because of that, this concept is also important to the creation of the communitarian monks of St. Benedict of Nursia and in the spiritual searches of Western saints and mystics during the Middle Ages and the Renaissance. St. Francis fleeing to Gubbio, St. Teresa and St. John of the Cross in their respective retreats. The word desierto, desert in Spanish, is literally used to designate the Carmelite monk foundations brought about by Father Tomás de Jesus in Spain during the latter part of the 16th century to describe life according to the strict rule of the descalzos, or the barefoot. They recreated the days of the mythical desert retreat of the prophet Elias, later remembered by a few crusaders who became hermits in Mount Carmel, according to the rule of St. Albert. In Spain, 3 Carmelite deserts were founded at first, in Bularque, El Burgo, and Las Batuecas. And in the early 18th century, there were already 23 in the Catholic world. The first one was founded in the area of El Bularque, originally located near the high Tagus River, though today it's located between the Entre Peñas and Buendia reservoirs, known as the Seas of Castile. Out there, a handful of hermit monks found refuge far from everything and everyone in order to dedicate their life to meditation, prayer, and the search for brotherly love. Mount Carmel in northern Israel was known for its fertility. Carmel means garden in Hebrew, which is why Carmelite deserts are full of water, crops, and natural beauty. The term sand desert alluded to a rejection of material possessions, a concept wholly embraced back then by mystic Christianity. Today, in Batuecas, this Eden is a reality for a group of staunch monks from this area, isolated and remote on the border between the Salamancan Peña de Francia and the mythical Urdes. Here, monks live in spirituality with the same intensity they did in the first centuries of Christianity, as if time and the evolution of the church were not their concern. The Carmelite Desert is close to the town of La Alberca, whose housing and aged population also seem to be stuck in the Middle Ages.